Now that we've warmed it up after a cold start, let's go for a drive, put this thing through some paces and see what it's about. This car is a perfect example of a car that embodies the phrase, it's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. This is that. There's always a sense of excitement, especially with the top down, whenever you're driving this car, even through a suburban neighborhood like this at 25, 30 miles an hour. The sense of speed and the fun that you feel behind the wheel of this car is always present. Drop it down a second. Give it a little pull. Now, this car was modified over the years with the idea that it would be a touring car. So little things that this car had done to it really make a difference. The Coney shocks, the spring setup, the smaller steering wheel that this car has installed makes for a much nicer driving experience. Now, there is one little thing with the gearbox where it may be an issue with the synchros, but the car does grab a little bit going into second. Shifts smoothly, you don't even notice it, but that issue is present in the drive. Definitely a little bit stiffer chassis and spring setup, a bit sportier, but not bad for touring. Not something where you're going to be shaken to death on a long drive, but definitely something where when you get up in the mountains or in some curvy roads, you're going to be able to have a lot more fun with it because of the spring and shock setup. Nice little acceleration to about 45, 50 in third gear. Now we'll test the brakes. Brakes very well. The owner actually just installed some new brake pads and brake lines to the front of the car. The rest of the componentry was all within spec, but the new brakes have really made a difference. They work perfectly. And I don't sense any abnormal rattles or shakes or vibrations as I drive the car. Really as many shakes, rattles, and vibrations as you're going to get from any vehicle from the early 1970s and of this size. This is not some big grand touring vehicle, but overall the car is nice and tight and tidy. Knowing the owner pretty well for a few years now is the kind of car owner you want your car to have come from. He fixes anything anytime it ever needs it. As soon as something goes wrong or something needs tinkering, he's right on it in his garage. So the car's been very well maintained. The owner's also done 2 of the Classic Motorsport rallies. Our friends over at Classic Motorsports and Grassroots Motorsports magazines put on rallies throughout the country. They do the Orange Blossom Tour, they do the Smoky Mountain Tour, a bunch of great times and great people. This car's completed 2 of those rallies. Now, after a little spirited driving, we're going to take a look at our gauges. Fuel gauge works fine. We've got speedometer working just right. Oil pressure sitting right now at idle just around 35 psi. Our tack is working accurately. and then the seller has actually switched out the clock, which comes included with the vehicle, and it also still works. He switched out the clock for a voltage meter. You'll find that in the photos. Like I said, this car was meant to be a driver.